Today, we're going to pull on a hidden thread, one that connects some of the most beautiful, most chaotic, and, well, most fundamental parts of our world. Let's see where it takes us.
So think about it for a second. A painting, a hurricane, and the stock market. At first glance, you'd say absolutely nothing, right? I mean, one is pure human creation, one is a terrifying force of nature, and the other is a chaotic system of human behavior. But what if I told you they're all playing by the same set of rules? That's right. The deep connection, the thing that links these incredibly different parts of our reality, it isn't some complex theory or a vague philosophical idea. Nope, it's a number. A single mathematical constant. And here it is. This is phi, but you probably know it as the golden ratio. It's sometimes called the divine proportion, and it's the hidden thread we're going to follow today. We're going to see how it stitches together art, nature, and even the entire financial universe. So let's start our journey where this number is easiest to spot. In the world all around us, in aesthetics and in nature. It shows up so often that some people consider it a kind of universal standard for what we find beautiful. So, what is the golden ratio really? Well, in simple terms, it's just a special way of dividing a line. You split it into two parts, a larger one and a smaller one. And the magic is that the ratio of the whole line to the large part is the same as the ratio of the large part to the small part. Now, if you're an artist, you don't need to get out a calculator. A simple 3-to-5 ratio gets you incredibly close, and it just works. And once you start looking for this proportion, you see it everywhere. Seriously, the old masters like Vermeer and Sargent used it to compose their paintings, but then you see it in the perfect spiral of a seashell, the swirling arms of a massive hurricane, and even in the shape of entire galaxies. It's wild. It truly seems to be a universal standard. What's so fascinating is that this visual pattern doesn't just appear out of thin air. It's actually generated by a surprisingly simple mathematical sequence that just builds on itself, step by step. And this is it, the Fibonacci sequence. The rule couldn't be simpler. You start with 1 and 1, and then you just add the last two numbers together to get the next one. 1 plus 1 is 2, 1 plus 2 is 3, 2 plus 3 is 5, and so on. But here's the magic trick. If you divide any number in the sequence by the one right before it, the answer gets closer and closer and closer to phi, to our golden ratio, 1.618. This simple sequence is the mathematical engine humming away behind the pattern. You know, for some of history's greatest mathematical minds, like the self-taught Indian genius Srinivasa Ramanujan, finding patterns like this wasn't just homework. It was something deeper. It was a profound, almost spiritual quest to understand the fundamental logic of the universe, a way to read the thoughts of God. It's really tempting to think so, isn't it? We've just seen all this incredible order in art and in nature. But what about the other side of the coin? What about all the things in our world that seem completely random? Totally unpredictable. And this is where our story takes a really fascinating turn, because it turns out, even inside chaos itself, there's a hidden order. You can actually find a predictable pattern that emerges from a whole bunch of completely unpredictable events. The concept is called a random walk. Just picture an object where every single step it takes is completely random. Now, what's incredible is that this exact same idea was developed at the same time by two different people in totally different fields. Louis Bachelet used it to describe the crazy, unpredictable movements of stock prices, and Albert Einstein used it to explain the random jiggling of tiny specks of pollen in water. This is the perfect way to see it in action. Each individual ball's path is totally random. You have no idea where any single one is going to land. But when you drop thousands of them, the collective result is always the same. It's always this perfect, predictable bell curve. It's the very definition of order emerging from chaos. Okay, so this is the crucial point. If we can find predictable patterns hidden inside randomness, can we actually use that knowledge for something? Well, the answer is a huge yes, and it basically unlocked one of the biggest financial markets on the planet. This is the famous Black-Scholes equation. What it did was take that physical concept of a random walk and apply it directly to finance. The thinking was, hey, if stock price movements are just as unpredictable as a tiny molecule bouncing around, we can use the exact same math to figure out the range of possible outcomes. And for the first time, this gave people a logical way to calculate the fair price for a financial option, which is just a contract based on the future price of something. And the impact, it was earth-shattering. This one equation
born from just observing random walks in nature and markets, helped unleash the global derivatives market. We're talking about a financial world that's now estimated to be worth over $100 trillion. Mind-boggling.
Of course, these breakthroughs don't just happen on their own. They come from the minds of extraordinary people, people who just see the world differently, people who are able to find that hidden thread in the first place.
I mean, just look at the collaboration between G.H. Hardy and Srinivasa Ramanujan. Hardy was the classic Cambridge professor. Everything had to have a rigorous formal proof. Ramanujan, on the other hand, was a poor, self-taught clerk from India whose genius was pure, raw intuition. These are two completely different ways of thinking, both trying to get at the same deep truths.
You can really feel the contrast in Ramanujan's own words from his first letter to Hardy. He had no formal training, no university education, and yet he was coming up with theorems that were completely new to the entire Western world, formulas he claimed were revealed to him in dreams by a goddess. His story is just this powerful reminder that genius can find a way to tap into these universal codes, no matter the circumstances.
Okay, so we've gone from elegant patterns in art to finding order inside total chaos. Now let's take that final leap and see how these mathematical threads might actually be woven into the fundamental laws of reality itself.
It really all comes down to a concept from physics called entropy, which is just a measure of disorder. Think of it this way. The sun sends us a neatly stacked pile of wood that's ordered low-entropy energy. Life on Earth can then burn that wood to build things, but what's left over is just scattered smoke and ash. That's disordered high-entropy energy. It's this basic flow from order to disorder that gives life the fuel it needs to create complexity.
This quote just nails the idea perfectly. You have this constant stream of ordered energy from the sun, and that energy provides the fuel needed to organize a random bunch of atoms into complex, ordered structures. It's literally the engine that drives the emergence of life.
And this is where we come full circle. When life uses that energy to build complex things, like the arrangement of seeds in a sunflower head or the branching of a tree, what patterns do we see over and over again? Yep, the Fibonacci sequence, the golden ratio, the exact same divine proportion we started with on a painter's canvas.
So, this one hidden thread has taken us from art to the stock market and all the way down to the fundamental physics that makes life possible. And it leaves us with this massive final question. Are we just discovering these mathematical patterns, or are we actually uncovering the source code that reality itself is written in?